I hope you all are fine. Today we are going to be revise the ruling countryside lesson. Okay, history part, ruling countryside. Already we discussed this lesson, same lesson before PT1 exam. Okay, so before entering this lesson, we just quick recall about second lesson. Okay, from trade to territory lesson. Okay, so in that lesson we discuss about two patterns, particularly British people. Okay, so one is Battle of Plassey, another is Battle of Boxer. Okay, so one is Battle of Plassey, another is Battle of Boxer. Okay, so after end of Battle of Boxer, in that war, who won the means English East Indian Company. Okay, after Battle of Boxer, who won the war means English East Indian Company. English East Indian Company. Okay, they won. So, who lost means the Nawab of Bengal and the Nawab of Lucknow and the Mughal Empire. Three are making contract among us to fight against East Indian Company. So, in that war, they are lost the war and English East Indian Company they won. So, at last end of the war, they signed English East Indian Company forced Mughal Emperor to sign an agreement. Okay, so the agreement was signed in the year of 1765. Okay, the agreement was signed in the year of 1765. So, through this agreement, the English East Indian Company became Diwan of Bengal. Okay, become Diwan of Bengal. Okay, so what do you mean by Diwan? Diwan it's their rights to collect tax. Okay, to collect tax in the region of Bengal. Okay, so like a finance minister, like the position particularly in Bengal region. Okay, so in Bengal region, the English East Indian Company gets Diwan rights the year of 1765. Okay, so what the company did after getting the Diwan rights means, okay, already we said the company focused trade alone for long time. Okay, even after became the Diwan, the company saw itself as a trader. Okay, it's not had any idea to rule our country. It's act as a trader alone. Okay, so commonly suppose a trader means what was his aim means to book lot of profit alone. Okay, it's focus profit alone. So the company act as a trader alone for long time. Okay, so when it's demand rights, the company started to collect revenue from Bengal region. I said no. So the company, the English East Indian Company, wants large revenue, a large income from Bengal region. Okay, it's need lot of income from Bengal region. So for getting lot of income, the government who in charge of that area, they need to do some basic work. Okay, but that East Indian Company unwilling to set up any regular system of assessment of land or collecting methods of tax. Why? Because for doing that it needs to spend some amount. No. So in beginning it is not ready to do up to 1865. Okay, up to 1865 it is not 1865, up to 40 years, around 1800 years. The company not ready, unwilling to regularize the assessment method. Okay, so what benefit it experienced through the Diwan method means before getting the Diwan rights, before 1765, the English East Indian Company, what are the things it's purchased in India? Okay, what are the things it's purchased in India and export to its country? The East Indian Company imports gold and silver from its country. Okay, it's taking amount of the gold and silver. See, in those days there is no token currency. So there is no currency what we have nowadays. So instead of currency, they are using gold and silver for buying materials. Okay, so the British people, the English East Indian Company purchased goods by gold and silver. from Britain. Okay, but after getting the Devon rights, the company started to collecting revenue, started to collecting tax from the Bengal region. That's why there is no need to importing gold and silver from their country. Okay, it's getting lot of amount from here. So with the help of that amount, it started to buy goods and send to its country. Okay, so what happened means the revenue, the revenue what they collect from the Bengal region, they are using the revenue for purchasing their business. Okay, purchasing goods for their business. So at last what happened means, suppose the Mughal government, the Mughal king gave Devon rights to British, I said. So what happened to Bengal people in the time of the Devon rights to East Indian Company means, the Bengal economy going to be facing deep crisis. Why means the company not ready to do any favor to the people of Bengal, but it's getting lot of amount from the people. Okay, ultimately who face lot of problem is the people of Bengal alone face lot of problem, particularly the year of 1770. Okay, yeah, particularly in the year of 1770, a very big famine, famine means unemployment, draft. Okay, so a very big famine happened in the year of 1770. Lot of people were around 10 million people, around 1 crore people, I think so. Okay, 10 million people were died because of famine. Okay, many villages were, many artisans, many farmers, they are clear their village, they are moved from that village, they migrate from their village to another place for searching job. Okay, so a lot of problem happened in this time. Okay, so for getting even that, after famine also the company focusing to increasing income alone. Okay, so for increasing its amount, the 3 method they are using for collecting tax from the people. Okay, so what are the 3 methods that we will discuss now, right? So we are going to discuss about permanent settlement, Maghalwari settlement and Rayatwari settlement. So the company felt its need more income from our country. Okay, so it started to implement new method of tax collecting. You just keep it in your mind. It's not going to be implement any new method of agriculture activity or new system. It's not introduced for easy the work of farmer. It is introduced the new methodology of collecting tax from the farmers. Okay, so 3 method it's introduced. One is permanent settlement, second is Maghalwari system, and third one is Rayatwari. Okay, so permanent settlement, it is also called Jamindari method, Maghalwari system and Rayatwari system. So let's discuss one by one. Okay, so permanent settlement. Okay, permanent settlement, it is also called as Jamindari method. Okay, so when it was introduced in India means in the year of 1793. Okay, in the year of 1793, who was Governor General of that period means Lord Cornwallis. Okay, Lord Cornwallis was the Governor General of India. So this method, where it was introduced, this method was introduced in the region of Bengal. Okay, the region of Bengal, particularly present day West Bengal, Bangladesh, some part of Bihar, some part of Odisha. Okay, so in this region, it's called in those days Bengal. So in Bengal, the Jamindari method was introduced. Okay, so who were appointed as a Jamindars means the Rajas. Okay, suppose in village we have some headmans, like that, some rich people. Okay, they were called as Rajas or Talukdar. Okay, Rajas or Talukdars were appointed as a Jamindars. Okay, so what East Indian Company did means, what is the role of Jamindar means, so a particular amount of land was given to zamindars. Okay, East Indian Company allot a particular acres of land. Okay, maybe 500 or 1000 acres land to a particular zamindars who were appointed as the zamindars. Okay, so that particular zamindars also asked to pay a particular amount of tax every year, okay, to East Indian Company. So the tax amount was fixed permanently. So what is the duty of zamindar means he has to pay tax to East Indian Company every year. The amount was fixed, even that amount was so high. Okay, so and then what is the benefit of zamindars means the zamindars want to distribute that land. Okay, want to manage. Already that land was owned some farmers. Okay, so from that farmers he need to collect tax. Okay, he need to collect tax from farmers and he wants to pay to East Indian Company. He is act as a middleman. Okay, so for that collecting and giving tax he getting some amount. Okay, so and he act as a nawab of that region. Okay, like king, like he manage that area, what particular area, how much land he getting. So surrounding village fully under his control alone. Okay, so the zamindars, they are using see, very initially the East Indian Company forced the zamindars to do developing activity in that land. Okay, which land allotted for zamindar, the zamindars wanted to do some developing activities, but the zamindars not ready to follow the words of East Indian Company. So when the zamindars not follow the words of East Indian Company, their zamindarship going to be dismissed. Okay, their land, which are the land given to the particular person, that retaken by the East Indian Company and gives to other person. Okay, so this problem were faced by zamindars, and the main problem who faced means the normal people, the cultivators, the farmers, they are faced main problem. What is the main problem means they were treated extremely very hard and crucial way. They were treated as a very hard and crucial way. How means when the time of the zamindar wants to collect tax from the people, see, he gave the land to rental. Okay, see how he get the land from East Indian Company, like that he gave the land to the farmers as a rental manner. Okay, so each and every year the farmers wants to give the rental amount of the land, and he also wants to pay the tax, whether they are receiving rainfall, whether the crop is failed or not. Even the zamindars also not ready to bother, and the East Indian Company also not ready to bother. Okay, so that this method ultimately who face a lot of problem is the farmers alone face lot of problem in the permanent settlement. Okay, and we are moving to Mahalwari settlement. Okay, Mahalwari settlement. Here Mahal, what is the meaning of Mahal in Hindi means village. Okay, so this system was introduced by Holt Mackenzie in the year of 1822. Holt Mackenzie introduced this method in the year of 1822, particularly in the state of Uttar Pradesh. This method was introduced. Why means the zamindari method is not successful the place of Bengal region. That's why he focused. He changed. Why? Because they need lot of income. That's why he changed this method. Okay. So what he did means he think what the customs what the people followed in India, and the practice what they practice, that we want to give important. That time only we will get more income. Like that he felt. That's why he appoints some collectors to inspecting the land. Okay, so he appoints some collectors to inspecting the land. So these collectors, they are measuring the land very careful, and they collecting data what the craft, what the crop they may cultivate in that land. So all the details they collect. At last they estimate the tax amount. Okay, so the collector in the time of inspecting the land, they are taking all the details from the farmers. At last they are fixed the tax amount. Okay, so the tax amount also it's not a permanent like zamindari method. It is not a permanent. It is revised periodically. Okay, the tax amount which was estimated by East Indian Company was revised periodically in the Maghalwar settlement. Okay, so who were appointed to collect as a tax? To collect the tax amount means the permanent settlement who collect tax, the zamindars collect tax, but here the village headman. Okay, so each and every village they had a village headman. So who has large amount of land, they were called as village headman. So they collect tax. Okay, so they are collecting tax and they are given to East Indian Company. So this method they used in the state of Uttar Pradesh. Okay, so let's we move Raipwari. So this method is introduced in southern India. Okay, it is used in southern India, particularly Madras Presidency. Okay, Madras Presidency. Okay, so who implement this method means Thomas Manro. Okay, in the year of 1820. The year of 1820, Thomas Manro implement this method of collecting tax. Okay, that's why this Raipwari method also called as Manro system. Okay, Manro system of tax collecting. Okay. Why I often stress the word implement means before this method was tested by Alexander Reid. Okay, tested by Alexander Reid, the area which was taken by British from Tipu Sultan. Okay, after end of the Carnatic War, the first lesson we discussed about second lesson we discussed about Carnatic War. So after end of the Carnatic War, the area captured by the British people beside. So that one of the captain, his name was Alexander Reid. So he tested this method, particularly Mysore surrounding area. Okay, this is very successful method. That's why Thomas Munro he implement this system entire South India. Okay, why? Because in South India there is no zamindari method. What we see before the zamindari method, this is not very successful in South India. That's why they are moving to this method of tax collecting. Okay, so here what they did means the East Indian Company directly deal with cultivators. Okay, directly deal with cultivators. Cultivators who are called as cultivators means who cultivate that land for long generation. Okay, generation by generation who cultivate that land, they are called as cultivators here. So they are deal with the cultivators directly. So the cultivators land was very carefully and separately surveyed, and then their assessment, the revenue was fixed. Okay, like almost same of Maghalwar system. Okay, so what the East Indian Company they felt in Raipwari method means they are act as a father of farmers. We are very good, we are very friendly, like that they convince the farmers and they are collecting tax. Okay, so what are the method they are using for collecting tax? Ultimately what's their aim is to collect a maximum amount of tax. Okay, they are not favor of farmers. At last the farmers they started to realize they are not favor of us, they are focused only for collecting tax. The lot of problem will start in our country. So the company after focus, apart from focus the revenue method, it realized the India is not country for collecting tax alone. We have lot of opportunity for cultivating some things, okay, some materials which the East Indian Company needs for exporting. Okay, so that the British started to focus the people, the cultivators, Indian cultivators, to cultivate a certain materials. Okay, just see here, the British realized that the countryside could not only yield revenue. it could, okay, also grow the craft that Europe need. Okay, so for European needs to fulfill, the Indian farmers wants to force to cultivate some materials, some crops. Okay, particularly the late 18th century. Okay, particularly late 18th century, the land, the agricultural land expanded to cultivate opium and indigo. Okay, opium a kind of drug. Okay, in those days, China is very big market of opium. Even Indian climate conditions very good for cultivating opium. That's why the farmers were forced to cultivate opium. Okay, and indigo. Okay, we are going to be discussing indigo. Next topic, that time we will discuss. Okay, and then some cash crops. Okay, some cash crops. Cash crops means these crops is not essential for day-to-day life, but it's very big market. Okay, very big business market. That's why the farmers were forced to cultivate this cash crops. Okay, particularly in Bengal region, the farmers were forced to cultivate jute. Okay, and Assam farmers, they are cultivating tea. They forced to cultivate tea, and UP, the farmers were forced to cultivate sugar cane, and the people of Punjab and Maharashtra, they were forced to cultivate wheat, and the Madras presidency, entire South Indian farmers were forced to cultivate rice. See, these things are export to their country. They are purchasing here very cheap rate, okay, very low rate from the farmers, and they sell it to their country. They convert that material, the raw material, into finished goods and sell it their country, and in our country in a very big rate. Okay, so through this they are making lot of profit. They are earning lot of amount, but ultimately our farmers, they are face problems, right? Next we are going to discuss about what the demand for Indian indigo. Okay, so indigo is a plant. From that plant we are extracting blue color dye. Okay, blue color dye, dark blue color dye we can extract from the indigo plant. Okay, so in those days, okay, around before 13th century itself, the Indian indigo was very famous in Europe continent. Okay, the manufacturers of cloth industry, okay, the manufacturers of cloth industry, they are use the Indian indigo for extracting the blue color. Okay, so the time of before 13th century itself, our Indian indigo was very famous in Europe continent, particularly many countries. Okay, Italy, France, Britain, they are used Indian indigo for give color from their dresses. Okay, so what happened the time of 13th century? Already I said 13th century. Okay, so what happened the time of 13th century? The manufacturer, the producers of local farmers. Okay, see, indigo is a plant, I said. So the help of farmers alone, the indigo was cultivated. Same like in Europe continent, we have wood. Okay, we have wood plant. From this wood, they are extracting somewhat blue color dye. Okay, that blue color dye was very dull. Okay, that blue color was, compared to Indian indigo, it is not bright. It was very dull. Okay, so the manufacturer, the textile industry people, they are focused on the Indian indigo. That's why what happened means, the farmers who cultivate wood in Europe, they face lot of problem. That's why the wood cultivators, they force the government, they force the European government to stop importing Indian indigo. Okay, to stop importing Indian indigo in Europe market. Like that, they gave stress to the government. That's why the time of 13th century. Okay, the time of 13th century, entire Europe fully they stopped to buying indigo from India. Okay, so this is one positive of wood cultivators of Europe. It's a negative of Indian indigo. Okay, but ultimately what happened means around 17 or 16 to 17th century, again the textile industries people, okay, the textile industry people, they forced the Europe governments, they forced their government to allow purchase Indian indigo from our country. Okay, so that's why the governments gave some relaxation to purchase indigo from our country. So in this meantime, what happened in the world, around the world means, many European countries, they started to rule, they started to colonize many countries, particularly South Africa, African continent and South American continent, many countries under the control of European countries. Okay, in that time, see, you know very well, the South American continent and African continent, the climate conditions similar to our country. Okay, so what happened means, when the countries started to rule these countries, how they taking land from our country, like that they are taking the land from that countries, and that land was utilized for cultivating indigo. Okay, so cultivating indigo. So around 200 years, that people, okay, particularly Argentina, Brazil, and Jamaica, this country people were forced to cultivate indigo. Okay, so it is going on the time of 18th century. Okay, in the time of 18th century, what happened means, the entire world political changes lot. Okay, that reflection, many colonial countries like Argentina, Jamaica and Chile, these countries not ready to cultivating indigo. The people, they are started to rebel against the government. Okay, so that's why many colonial countries, particularly Portugal, France, these governments to stop to cultivating indigo in these countries. Why? Because the method what they following indigo cultivation is somewhat very crucial method. Okay, the farmers, they are treated as slaves. Many people, they are making as slaves from Europe, African country. They are made as a slave and they are sent to America, and they are forced to work in the plantation, in the indigo plantation. That's why many people, they started to rebel. Okay, so this country, like for Portugal, France, they stopped cultivating indigo. Again, the late 18th century, okay, again the Indian indigo gets demand in the world market. Okay, so that time India was ruled by British government. Okay, around 1880s up to 1947, India was under the control. 1847 to 1947, these 100 years, India was directly ruled by British government. Okay, so the British government turned to India to cultivate indigo in a large manner. Okay, so farmers again, they were forced to cultivate indigo. So two methods they followed for indigo cultivation. What are the two methods? So there are two methods the East Indian Company practiced for indigo cultivation. Okay, for indigo cultivation, two methods they are used. One is niche cultivation, another is ripe cultivation. See, before moving to niche cultivation and ripe cultivation, to cultivate indigo, what are the things necessary means, a good water facility. Okay, that land going to be cultivating indigo, that area need very good water facility, and the soil could be very fertile. Okay, that time only the indigo will grow well. Okay, and then for harvesting, for extracting dye from the plant, we need a lot of labors. Okay, so many problems faced by the British for cultivating indigo. That's why they are using two methodology for indigo cultivation. One is niche cultivation, another is ripe cultivation. Okay, one is niche cultivation, another is ripe cultivation. So let's come to niche cultivation. So what is niche cultivation means? The planter, okay, the planter means, who are planter means they may buy, the English is white people, the British people, they are taking land for lease, or they buy the plot of land, and in that land with the help of laborers they are doing indigo cultivation. Okay, so that people are called as planters. Okay, so planter, like nowadays estate owner, okay, tea estate, coffee estate, we hear now like that. The estate only called, that owner of estate only they called as planters. Okay, so planters produce the indigo in lands directly of his control. Okay, so they are like taking land for lease, or they buy the particular acres of land, and under his control he cultivate indigo in that land. Okay, so for this niche cultivation, for basically indigo cultivation, suppose we are doing small plot of land in indigo cultivation, it's not good yield, we are not get maximum amount of profit. Suppose we are doing the cultivation near large plot of land, that time only we can book very good profit. So for doing cultivation they need a large amount of land, and they want to invest large, very big amount. Okay, and then for doing that work they need lot of labor, I said. See, many people in those days they are involved for doing not agriculture, particularly for rice cultivation, for sugarcane cultivation. So they engage themselves for these many activities. So thus that people were forced for doing for working in their field. Okay, so the normal farmers, apart from that indigo plantation, indigo land, many farmers they have their own land. In that land they cultivate for their household things. Okay, so they were forced to work in the field, and then the shortage of plough and bullock carts, it's a major issue of niche cultivation. Okay, so a lot of problem faced by the planters, so they are not ready to expand that area of cultivating indigo. Why? Because very lot of problem they face. Okay, so next is for changing that niche cultivation, they are moving to ripe cultivation. Already you know what is ripe means. The cultivators, the farmers only called as ripe. Okay, so what the planters did means they force the farmers. Okay, they force the farmers to sign a contract. Okay, to sign a contract. So those who sign the contract, they are get cash advance, like a credit. Okay, they are get credit amount to planter, and they are accept in this contract they accept to cultivate indigo in their land. Okay, so simply what the planter plants means, to buy the plot of land is more expensive, but for this, suppose they get a sign of the farmers to give the cash amount, to give the credit. With that amount they are, suppose they are doing cultivating indigo means they are getting more profit. Who means the planters. Okay, that's why they force the farmers to sign a contract. So those who are signed the contract, they are getting cash advance. Okay, so what they gave means the amount, what amount they gave, they are very less amount to the farmers. Okay, see here I write planters get very low price. I said no. What is this means? Here the planter means the farmers. Okay, here the planter means in their niche cultivation, planter means the British people. Here the planter means the farmers. So the farmers were forced to sign a contract. Okay, so for that they are getting cash advance. The amount was very low. So they are accepted to cultivating indigo in their land. Okay, so at last, after cultivating indigo, that indigo was purchased by East Indian Company. It's a very low price. Okay, again again that circle was continued. Okay, so that amount what they get from the East Indian Company, it is like nowadays, suppose we are getting loan from private bank, it is not come to ends, no, like that. The chain of credit will continue. Okay, so what happened means the harvest, after the over, already I said which land was used to cultivating indigo. That land was soil was too fertile, I said. So after cultivating that indigo, that soil going to be lost its energy, lost its power, and that land is not suitable for rice cultivation. Okay, so these are the problem the people, the farmers, they face both niche cultivation and rice cultivation, right? So the blue Repallian and after. Okay, so next the blue Repallian and after. So before moving this blue Repallian, the problem, what are the problem faced by the farmers during the indigo cultivation means, already I said clearly the land, the soil going to be lost, farmers they are not able to get good amount, they are taking lot of the planters, they are use the farmers for doing lot of work, but in return they get very less amount. So what happened means, the year of 1859, the rights they started to rebel against East Indian Company, particularly planters, particularly in Bengal. Okay, so what they said means they are not ready to follow the words of planters. Okay, so see, in those days the planters they are treated the farmers like a slave, and the planters they maintain some people, they are called as lathias. Okay, nowadays we have some security guards, no, like that they are the security guards. They are always round up the plantation, always round up the land, and they force the people to work continuously. They are not allowed them to take rest. Okay, so from the lathias also they treat the people in very crucial method. Okay, so that's why the farmers not ready. How long they will accept these like treatment? Okay, so that year of 1859 they started to rebel against British. Okay, so what they did means they are taking the farmers, they are taking bow, arrow, what are the utensils, particularly women, they are taking their household utensils to fight against the planters. Okay, they attack the factories, they destroy the machineries, and they fight against the lathias. Okay, so the rebellion spread entire Bengal. Okay, so and then the Raj refused to pay the rent and attacked the indigo factory. They said no, the land they want to pay the tax, the contract they signed, no. For that they are not ready to pay that land rent, like that they said. Okay, so and then they are not interested. They said clearly we are not ready to cultivate indigo hereafter, like that. They said clearly. So that the the Repallian spread entire Bengal, so that the Indigo Commission were set up. Okay, see, the year of 1859, a very big revolt, okay, very big Repallian, very big revolt happened in India, that alone called as first Indian freedom struggle war. Okay, so 1857 only it started, entire North Indian fully the Rapalli spread, a very big, a very crucial time for East Indian Company. So that's after that one, after 1857 only the British East Indian British government directly started to rule India. Okay, so the British government clearly they understand this Blue Rebellion also wants should not turn to the revolt of 1857. That's why the British government sent an Indigo committee to India. Okay, sent an Indigo committee to India. So that committee, that commission inquire about the rebellion. Okay, so when the commission people, when the judge, the judiciary went to that village, that rebellion place, the farmers, they attacked the people, that other person also. Okay, so after all the inquiries over, that commission declared that suppose you people not satisfied for the cultivation of indigo, we are not ready to force to you. So no need to continue for indigo cultivation in Bengal, like that. Commission said. Okay, so the Bengal is now free from indigo cultivation, but the planters, they shifted to Bihar. Okay, you know very well Bihar also very fertile land. The Ganga and its tributary rivers were flow in that region. So they shift to Bihar. Okay, so around 1920 up to 1920. In Bihar, they started after 1859, around 40 to 60 years, the planters, they forced Bihar people to cultivating indigo. Okay, so the time of Mahatma Gandhiji arrival in Bihar, up to that, the people, the farmers, they are facing lot of problem and that indigo cultivation in Bihar. Okay, so after arriving of Gandhiji, the problem was solved by his action. Then only the farmers, they are settled somewhat a good life. That and all we will discuss upcoming lesson. I hope you all are understand, right? Thank you. Have a nice day.